Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all the Growthcast warriors, Yuva families, and students. Welcome to this show today, Growthcast episode number 5. Today, it's my privilege to host someone who has traveled to 177 countries, lived in 25 cities, and speaks 12 languages. Kiran Bhat, welcome to show. Our Kiran, how are
Thank
you
you so much
today?
for having me. Yes, I'm good.
How are you today?
I'm good only.
Amazing, amazing. So a little bit of introduction about Kiran. Kiran Bhatt, an award-winning Indian American author, traveler, polyglot, is the author of We of the Forsaken World, Speaking in Tongues, and Girar, with books
Kiran.
published in 5 languages and writings featured in leading international journals. Is the winning of the 2026 International Writer of the People's Award and the
Right
first
to the
Indian,
year one.
first Indian outside the UK to be recognized by the British House of Commons. Congratulations, Kiran. So
Thank you.
welcome to this Growthcast episode 5. I have a few questions, Kiran, today.
Th-
So let's get started these conversations. Um, Thank you all the GUA families, students for joining this live show. Um, Kiran, like my straight, the conversation, the question is, so when you're an award-winning author, right? So you got 3 books on your thing. Young person, what challenges are like, like nowadays, like young kids have self-doubts or, kind of a, struggling thing. So did you face like while pursuing your passion, Kiran?
Of course I did. I mean, again and again, I'm just narrating a story now. My parents are extremely supportive of me because I
Yeah.
showed results. But
Mm,
in the beginning years, my father was very aghast at the idea that I would want to travel the world and write books. So I lived in Spain for some time. And at that time, I used to want to travel and write books from a global perspective. And that was very difficult for my father, again, being a very traditional South Indian from a different background. It was very
mm,
difficult for him to wrap this idea around. I just want to write books and make an income writing and travel the world and teach. I taught English online actually for many years. That's how I financed
okay.
myself. So he did not agree with it. He wanted me to go to graduate school, become professor, and then write on the side. I want to travel and write. So I took an English teaching job, and then
Mm,
I traveled and then I first worked on my novel We of the Forsaken World for about 10 years, and that's how it came out in 2020.
mm,
But yeah, I'd go back. I'm a Karnataka by heritage, which means I have a lot of family in the state of Karnataka. I'd go to Bangalore and I would just have to deal with people always complaining about me, always saying
mm,
very
mm,
rude and hurtful things about who I was,
mm,
based on things they did not understand. So those were the main challenges, were mostly within my family and within my circle. And of
mm,
course, getting published is its own headache and is a lot of work. But I think the main thing that I felt that really affected me was that something I felt was really important to me was something that people did not ultimately want me to do, and that I had to learn to just kind of, I'm living my life. I have to live the life that I feel like I'm meant to live. And that means that the people in my life and circle do not agree with it. We have to let it be and let them have their opinion, but
yeah,
I have
yeah,
to do what I
yeah.
have to do at the end
Mm.
of the day.
That's very very creative. I thank you for answering that question. So my question, next question is like today's world is all about what I call it as a short attention spans, like the instant gratification world, social media, all this there. So why do you believe like reading and writing it's still important for young people, as this interview is for young people mainly in rural India. So there's so many people who lack of resources, who lack talent.
Yeah.
So how do you like, why do you believe mainly like the reading and writing is so important for young people, Kiran?
I think reading is I mean, for a lot of us, regardless of where we come from, reading and writing are important regardless of whether you want to write, because there are ways to hone the language, learn the language, understand the language more properly. It helps us create more nuance, sense of understanding grammatically and syntactically how a language works. So if you read a lot in a language, it's a good way to learn that language and keep yourself in that language. And I think it's very good for memorizing and learning memory skills. When we read a story, we have to remember what happened to this person, how this happened, how that happened, and then we have to, that helps our memory. And writing also. I personally believe it can have therapeutic value for people who don't pursue it as a career. For people who pursue it as a career, it's mostly a means to express one's creativity, take one's ideas, and put them onto an artifact that is not inside of you, but can be then transmitted to other people outside of you and live for many centuries after your passing. I will say that to be a good writer, you also have to be a good reader, because as I said earlier, to be a good writer means to have a strong understanding of the language, a good sense of how language works. And we learn the syntactical, the different structures through reading. And so and the different styles, the different ways people approach the language through reading. And so when one does not read, one is missing that whole depth of nuance of the language, and it will show in one's writing. And so while writing and reading are not as emphasized, and a lot of good careers are made off of reading and writing, particularly now marketing, particularly in Mumbai and maybe in Bangalore, but in Mumbai for one, where I live, there's a lot of emphasis on marketing. And to be a good marketer, you have to also have a good command of, say, English or Hindi, depending on the language you're
Yeah.
using, but you have to have a good command of the language, meaning you have to understand. So even if you to choose to pursue a subject related to reading and writing, it can help you, say, in other fields, because you need to have good communication skills regardless of what field you're in, and reading and writing are important in order to learn good communication skills, which can help you even in other non-reading and related writing related fields.
Yeah, that's very, very insightful. Yeah, thanks for Kiran for answering that. And as I know, like you are pursuing your dream, right? Writing is your dream, or the passion. So, and you won recently international recognition, like award from House of Commons UK. So, how did your passion eventually lead to that level, like to international recognition,
Well,
that in
for
UK?
me, I think a lot of us who are delusional, we want to have that worldwide fame and success, but
Yeah.
very few of us achieve it, including, as in certain ways, I'm still working on it, and I might never achieve it, but I'm also happy with whatever I've achieved. For me, it was less about reading and writing, and I wanted to create a literature that was global, without boundaries, without borders, and I had various different projects that allowed me to do that. I had several novels which did decently in the world, but mostly were written well. And for example, my novel We of the Forsaken
Yeah.
World, which is 32 characters in four disparate regions and tells the interconnected stories of the four places. It hip hops through the 32 places. Then I have a novel called Hirar, which means return in Spanish, which imagines a mother, father, and son in 365 disparate parts of the world over 10 years. And each story is published on a newsletter and sent to readers. And I've written some multilingual poetry. I also translate a lot. I'm a translator between English, Kannada, and Spanish, and I
Okay.
use Kannada, English. I translate mostly indigenous people from Mexico, Mayan people. I've translated several books from the Mayan communities using Spanish into English and Kannada. So, and I do a lot. I brought a Mayan poet as well to India to do events in India. And so I'm someone who is very active in the particular things I believe in. And I don't just do it. I mean, I don't say I do it. I actually do the things I want to see done. And so for anyone who's trying to receive more international recognition, I believe, or anyone who wants to receive recognition, just do good work, do work that you believe in and you believe needs to be done. And then if you're lucky, results will come to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's an amazing. Thank you. Um, what habits should students develop today if they want to grow, like, in creativity and make a meaningful impact in the future?
Don't
So,
rely on artificial intelligence.
yes, so we
I
are
have
talking.
learned 12 languages. I write in my mother tongue, Kannada. I write in English. I write in Spanish. I never used AI. I used my head. I used dictionary. I used
Yes.
Kadambari and Sahitya to learn. I'm reading Yashwant Chittal in Kannada. I'm reading Henry James in
Oh,
English. So you learn by actually taking your. That's how you actually learn, by the way.
yeah.
Reading, writing, and learning. So AI, if you just want a very quick and easy, like 65 on your exam, maybe AI is okay. But if you really
Yeah.
want something that'll stick in your head 50 years from now, please
Oh.
avoid using AI and actually use your head when you can.
So how many books you used to read in your, when you were in the
I
teenage?
read a lot of different language. I read a lot of books. I usually read two at the time. As I said, I read mostly for practice as well. So I have I don't know if I can show you this, but I have a giant shelf in all the different languages I read, and it has Kannada, Spanish, Turkish,
Okay.
Portuguese, Indonesian, and French. So I read in a lot of different languages. Right now, we live in India, but I speak some TikTok Hindi, but not particularly well. And I never learned to read in the language. I don't know Devanagari. I know some Akshara, but not like
Okay.
I cannot read properly in Hindi. So I've not, I mean, and I speak some Russian, I speak some Arabic, but I cannot read in the languages. So mostly I read in Kannada script and Latin script
Oh, wow.
comfortably. which
Mm.
with Latin script I can read a lot of languages. Kannada is mostly useless, but maybe Telugu I can make some koncha
Oh,
koncha.
okay.
Also reading Kannada and English right now because of where I
Okay.
live. But of course, when I'm having to use Spanish or Portuguese, I read more in Spanish, obviously, like if I'm in a Spanish speaking part of the world, because then I need to practice my Spanish and improve my understanding of the language and all that. So yes,
How,
yes.
how many books? How many books you read in a month, or in a week,
A
or
lot. I read 50
that?
pages a day. In Kannada, I read maybe just one or two because I'm much slower in the language. I'm not
Mm,
used to reading it because I didn't
mm.
grow up reading it. But in English, I read 50 pages a day because I have to understand everything also. So I
Yes,
don't
yes, yes.
understand a vakya or some words. I have to look it up in the dictionary and I want to understand the grammar, understand why it's framed that way. So in
Mm,
Kannada,
mm,
I read
mm.
one or two pages so I really understand what I'm reading. And then in English, because it's effortless for me, I usually read 50 pages.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
that means that in a week, what do you say, month or a week?
I
Month?
said a week or a month.
Yeah.
Just curious. I was just curious that how many
Yeah.
books you complete reading.
Depends only on the book, but easily like
Okay,
decent amount of books if I'm doing 50 pages. But the books I read are quite long.
okay.
Purva by Bhairappa took me about a year to finish because it's a
Wow.
huge book.
Okay. Mm.
But this year I've probably finished three books in Kannada, three, four books in
Okay.
Kannada. But depending if it's a long book or a small book, you know. So,
Okay.
but
Okay. Got it.
English, yeah, I mean much more than even that.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So, what's your like message to the students who are in the middle school or high schools? So, what's your message? Kind of your suggestion or advice for them, like to be focused on what they want to do, or what's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I just be yourself, be whatever the universe has made you. The universe has given you this shape, this form for a reason. And
Mhm.
even if people in your society or community don't understand it, let it be because the universe ultimately made you this way and it was made for a reason. So whatever comes naturally to you, do that and just do it to the best of your capacity.
Best of your capacity. That's okay. That's that's powerful, Kiran. So
Because we do
thank you.
not have much talent or we don't have much control of that which we do and how people receive it, but we can control the degree to which we make our attempt.
Yes, yes. And you said like you lived in like 25 cities and you
Mhm.
traveled to 177 countries. So can you talk about what is like most for you like interesting, which city or which part of the world you think like
It's
it's
very
most
hard to say the
interesting?
world is falling apart these days. It's horrible. I mean, I think about it doing, I mean, the US is doing so horribly, but India is also doing so horribly. And I mean, I was
Mm,
just in France, and France is doing there. A lot of also legislation, like there's this horrible trans bill that was
mm,
passed in India last month. And at the same time, I was in France. And there was also an anti-immigration bill that was also
mm,
very much like the trans bill, passed with no discussion with communities, just
mm, mm.
thrown at the people, you know, so it's like a lot of the same things. So it's very hard to recommend anyone to go anywhere these days. I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
enjoy you enjoy traveling, right? You enjoy traveling and learning.
No,
So
of course.
learning
I
new
mean, but I
things.
traveled and mostly did all that in the 2010s, which is a much easier time to imagine
Mm,
traveling, a much better time. So of course, I mean, I love a lot of cities. I mean, I love Mumbai where I live,
mm.
Istanbul, London,
Yeah.
Tokyo. Well, I mean, you have to be a person of privilege to even, and especially now with how expensive everything is and how hor I mean, if you're talking to Indians in India, the rupee is horrible right now. So
Mm.
I can't imagine
Yes.
anyone wanting to travel from India with
Yes.
how horrible, and then how expensive the world is. I mean, that's the other thing. I just went to Europe, and it's gotten so much. India is getting cheaper if you're coming from the US. The US and Europe are getting so expensive that it's like you
Yes.
cannot even like. So it's just
True.
at that time it was a little easier, but I mean, everyone who wants something will eventually get it done. So if you
Correct.
want to travel, try your best. I hope you can travel, but
Yes.
maybe 4 or 5 years
Thank
it'll
you.
be easier again.
Yes, thank you for sharing your experience, the travel experience. As you written as a polyglot, right? What do you call
Yeah,
polyglot?
a
Okay,
whole
that's
bunch.
called,
That's a
yeah.
person who speaks many languages. Yes.
Oh, okay. Speak many languages. Okay, so that's a
Yes.
learning. Okay. So what I picked up from your from the conversation is like be yourself.
Hmm.
Don't no, don't come under the fear, like under the fear. So be yourself, like pursue your dreams. So since you are like award-winning, international recognized author, so what the message which I am picking up here is like be yourself and pursue your dreams and with courage, right? So yeah, that's what I'm just picking up from the
Courage is very
existing one.
important. I agree. Yes, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, particularly where I live,
Uh-huh.
lack courage. And I think courage, if we want to challenge the world and the way the world is around us, we have to have courage and do things with courage.
Yes, courage. Be yourself and go with the courage. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, pursue your dreams.
Mm.
So that's amazing, Kiran. Thank you for answering our the questions, and for joining this conversation mainly. And the G Yuva, the global Yuva, is inspired by Swami Vivekananda. So we always end with the quote which says like, "Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached."
Mm.
So this is the message for our youth, and we are very thankful for you for joining this conversation today, and and giving us time. Truly grateful, Kiran, and all the best for your projects, and
Yes, all the best for you and
take care.
global you as well. Yes, you too. Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye. Thank you, Kiran.
Bye bye.